A very warm welcome to everyone joining us today for the second episode of the Support Sphere, bringing you insights from beyond the support desk. In our first episode of the Support Sphere, we delved into an interesting topic about how transformative has generative AI been in customer support. But interestingly, we concluded on the point that the human touch is a factor that cannot be easily replaced, and this will help with making customer support better over the years. We are continuing today's podcast on the same topic, where we're discussing about how important or how crucial a factor that the human touch plays in customer support. I am Ambrish, a product marketer from Zoho Assist, and I will be your host for today. I am joined by my friend here, Micheal Jeshua Aswin, who is the product manager for customer support at Zoho Desk. Welcome, Micheal.
Thank you, Ambrish, for having me.
Right. So, beginning with the same topic here, what is your perspective about the human touch factor in customer support? What do you feel about this?
All right, there are three things. So first is the connection. Let's say I wake up any day and I want to get some milk. I go to a nearby kirana shop, and when I meet the uncle who greets me, who laughs at me, I feel happy and I go back the next day. So connection matters for any support. And second one is authenticity. So I cannot get the milk from anyone who gives it. I want to know what ingredients they add. Is it really good? So authenticity is important. And finally, the responsibility. So if the milk is expired, I can go back to him asking for a new packet. So again, I would go back to that kirana shop. So I think connection, authenticity, and responsibility are three things that makes human touch more valuable.
Great. So these also play a vital role even when it comes to customer support. The same 3 points that you mentioned, actually, which work across every business, this forms a vital part in support. And in support, we've got different methods or modes in which we communicate with customers, be it via email, be it via chat or a support session. How do you ensure the same level of consistency in terms of support when you're connected with these users across different channels?
All right. So there are multiple channels. Nowadays ticketing tools are omni-channel. So we can have customers connected through email, chat, WhatsApp, phone call, social media, Twitter, anything. So we could apply some functionalities like sentiment analysis for emails or chats. But let's say a customer connects on call. How would you predict the mood? So the empathy should be the core value of the organization. Only then they could embark it into the agents working for them. So empathy should be within the support team to provide the consistency of support across all the channels with the best way they could do it.
Right. So empathy, compassion, some things that are being generally talked about when it comes to support. But what do you see as some common challenges or obstacles when you try to have this consistently across your sessions or your support interactions?
All right. So you cannot empathy in a team where support is completely handled over by the scripts. Some people do rely on it. So leaving them apart, some company do invest a lot in support teams. They want their support team to be free and they want them to give their best. So for such teams, one problem or one concern would be time. Because people think when they provide support with empathy, then it would cost a lot of time to them. All right. So that would be one challenge. So I think it is the organization or the leadership concern, responsibility to address it by providing the ample space for the agents to work with quality, to work with empathy, rather than concentrating on the quantity. So I think it should be handled in different levels, right from the logistics towards the customer support team.
All right. So to put it, it should not just be a bottom-up, it should moreover be a top-down approach where this is being done right from the top level, understanding what empathy is, and then having to put that down to the users or the support agents directly, so that this is a metric across, or this is a characteristic across all verticals.
Exactly. You cannot expect the agent who is handling 5 chats simultaneously to be empathetic to all 5 of them. So what we should do? We should try to free up the space by adding more resource to it. So that should be done from the top down, as you said. Yeah.
So now, talking about support in general and having multiple people, but not just the challenges in terms of organizations, but taking a few external factors into play. Like, let's say, for example, you've got You've got customers across. So like if let's say we take Zoho for example, you've got customers across the globe. So we've got from different regions, different cultural backgrounds and so on. Does this play a role in terms of how we are empathetic, or would there be any effect based upon where these users come from?
Okay, there are different things, cultures, languages that ensures that customers are from different regions. So let's take culture for example. Even though we try to be politically correct, we might have some prejudices. So the first step should be the leader or the organization. They should sabotage all the stereotypes the teams might have or the agents might have, because a customer from any region can be of any type. Some people tend to think that customers from this particular region are polite more than the customers from this region. So that is totally false, and we should cut it right from the grassroots level. And talking about the language, yes, there are some language barriers, especially when the customers are trying to get support from different countries. So let's say a customer from West is trying to get support from one of the agent in the East. They might obviously have some language barriers. So today it is being addressed through a lot of tools. We have translators within the tools, and we have external translators that can actually do what it should do. But if you could afford to have some local support for them, then it is well and good. If not, if there is a language barrier, then we should try to address it with the tools, because I think tools shape us, and we should shape the tool to help us in this right way.
Yep. So even if we're taking tools into consideration, but there's still the human touch, right? Like even if there is a tool that's going to help us, but still it's going to be the person who's going to have to understand that.
Exactly. So that is where empathy plays a role. So here empathy is the pill that every agent should have. So that empathy pill will kill all the other barriers people might have. So we have had cases where the other customer wouldn't be able to understand us, or we wouldn't be able to understand them. It could be both ways. In that case, both of them would be a little frustrated because of the language barrier. But when you have empathy, you know they are struggling, and they will know you are struggling. So it is automatically resolved when you have the empathy pill. So that should be cultivated by the organization.
Right. So coming back to the point on how we discussed about this having to be a top-down approach, and organizations cultivating this right from the beginning. So how do we go about training or encouraging the support reps to be able to have this empathetic reaction right from the beginning? Or how do we instill in them, or how can organizations go about in having this for their organizations?
All right. So we do see there are many organizations, those who have soft skill sessions, or there are people who teach about empathy. It is still needed, but it leaves me wondering, do we really need to be taught empathy? Because empathy is not something that you show towards your customers. It is a basic thing you should have. It should be shown to your colleague. It should be shown to your parents. You should be empathetic towards your friends, family, everyone. So I think that's a basic trait that people should have. But still, if they don't, I think maybe we can make them understand how things work without empathy. So let's assume there are two teams, Team A and Team B. All right. So Team A are a group of people. They work for their customers. They both do their job exceptionally well. Both are very efficient. But the difference is the intent of Team A is to provide answers to the customers, get their chats done with, and move on to the next one. The intent of Team B is to satisfy their customers. So in a short sight, you would see both are efficient, both are doing good. But in a long run, you will see Team B winning many businesses, repeated customers, because they care for their customers. So you see the difference, right? So this difference has to be taught to the team. Only then they will try to work on it. They should understand it's a core value rather than being some kind of a thing they just try to get some good ratings or something.
So on the point of how Team B is able to win more businesses and so on, how do you think would we be able to, and if so, how do you think we would be able to calculate or measure the effectiveness of how empathy is working? Would that be possible? Like you've mentioned about how two teams function, and one without empathy and the one with empathy still have the same level of effectiveness in terms of the first resolution times or the overall response and how the customer is satisfied for that moment. But on the long run or on a larger scale, do you think this can still be
in the long run? I think I have already answered you. You would see the repeated customers. That would be the sign of victory for the team with empathy. To calculate it or to measure it in a short run, if you want to gauge how your team performs, I think you can look into the analytics, the reports of the customer happiness rating. So you will be seeing the customer reports, right? So if there is an issue, if the customer is unhappy about the product limitation, then you can try to fix it, or you can try to include it. If they are unhappy about an issue, then you could try to fix it or make your product false proof. But if they are unhappy about the attitude of the agent, then you must work on the agents. Yeah, empathy is much needed there. Without that, you wouldn't have business to support or to sell. So I think more than being quantitative, this empathy is a factor that would reflect directly on your numbers, your business numbers. You'll be able to find it.
Got it. So I understand that the topics or the points about having empathy and compassion are a few things that are repeatedly talked about in multiple places, or these become the main points that start with in terms of when someone joins a support team or when we discuss about support metrics and so on. And as much as a popular topic that empathy has been, there are also a few misconceptions about what empathy is or how it reflects on the organization and so on. Are there any such misconceptions that you've come across, or you've got any points to refute these misconceptions?
Okay, so if you want to name the myths, the first thing is empathy. As we talk, we need not have a podcast to talk about empathy. As I've already told you, it's a basic trait. So it is not a luxury or an add-on that we should have or we should add. It is something natural. It comes when you are a human. So that is something that should be understood. So you need not remember every time you take a call that you have to be empathetic. You do it when you believe that you are empathetic. So that is one myth. And the other thing is people often think that being empathetic slows down their response time. When there is a high volume, they wouldn't be handle it when there is they have to show empathy towards their customer. But it actually it works the other way around, because when you are being empathetic to your customers, you try to answer in the best way possible, right? Let's say if they ask about how to put a tea, you give them all the explanation even about how to make a coffee. You can try either of these. So when you do that, it's called proactive support. So you give them the answers even before they need it. In that case, they wouldn't come next day asking for how to make a coffee. So this is how you are actually decreasing the volume and allowing them to increase the quality. So it is not actually slowing down the response. It is actually helping you in a bigger way that can be seen from a bigger picture, I believe.
Got it. So talking about empathy and compassion, any memorable experiences for you in your support years so far, where you felt that this has played a major role in having you? And I'm sure you've got a few customers who remember you by name or come back to you just because you've been great with them. But a few examples, you've got any?
I've got many, but since you're asking out of thin air, I think I was handling a New Zealand customer back in 2019, and he was having some issue with the product, and we wanted to look into the issue. So we connected using Zoho Assistant. We got the details. We got the details of the issue. So after it was moved to the developer team, and after 2 to 3 days, it was escalated. The case was escalated by the customer. I didn't know the customer by then, and I had to take the call, the SOAP call. So in the supervisor call, I was surprised to know the customer was not unhappy because there was delay. He was unhappy because he was not updated frequently. There were no regular updates to him. So only then I understood, what he should have felt or how he might have felt. So I told him how I feel, how you feel. And he was able to feel that I feel bad for him. So that there was a rapport of empathy between us. And I think we not only handled that escalation, we won the customer for lifetime. He's still a customer. And when I went to the Zoholics, I met him and it was a great meeting.
So has that particular interaction of yours with the customer then changed your perspective about any other customers going forward, or has that been something right from the beginning?
True. I'm not sure if I can say this, but my attitude towards escalation, people see escalation in a negative connotation. It could be because the customers are not happy. But whenever there's an escalation, I approach it with a positive mentality, thinking, this is an escalation. This is my chance to win this customer, not just this one time, but for the lifetime. I can turn that customer into a loyal customer forever. So that is how I started approaching the escalations, or if there is some issue.
So we've discussed about how this is an important trait and how this has helped you, and it could also help organization. So in general, do you've got any advice?
It's not important, it's inevitable. Sorry.
No, that's agreed. So any advice for organizations or support teams that are taking up to enhance their overall approach towards customers, do you've got any kind of advice for them, or say these are a few things that you could have a look into, or these are a few things you'll have to start up with your teams or instill in your teams right from the ground up, so you could provide or enhance your overall support experience?
All right. I believe we have discussed it. If I could quote our CEO, Sridhar Vembu, if you take care of your customers well, you will have a sound business, because each customer will become a brand ambassador for you. This is a simple line. I was impressed reading this. So when you take care of your customers well, they become the word of mouth. So nothing works better than word of mouth today. And any organization, be it a small scale or large scale, any organization in this world, all they need is metrics. That is 100% customer retention and 0% customer attrition. So what you should do for it? The organization should invest heavily in support, and the support should invest heavily in the empathetic support that they should provide. And that would eventually give them the loyal customers. So winning customers is the prime goal of any organization, and to win the customers, the support team has to be empathetic. That's it.
All right. So that was a fun little conversation with Micheal here. I'd like to thank Micheal for joining us today on this short podcast with us, helping us with these details on how empathy and compassion could be great for any organization. And I hope that this was a good one. We'll catch you guys next podcast with a different topic and a new guest joining us, where we'll be looking at a different topic on customer support. So it's bye-bye for now from the Support Sphere, bringing you insights beyond the support desk.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Ambrish, for having me.